Hi, Internet.
Now that we took some time to look through the new set, we're here to talk about Moroch.
This won't be a complete deep dive. Instead, we've just picked out some of our favorite things for each team.
So whether you're a loyalist or a heretic, there's something for the orcs to crump, so let's get stuck in, lads! Alright, Moroch!
Yeah.
So, we had plans to record this a while ago, but then shipping happened, and I did mention this on the Killzone podcast, like most of Southern California couldn't get this box. Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 days later, I think, that I got mine, and then by then, someone decided to go become the best sergeant they could be with Big Hammer down at San Diego Open, right?
Now look, someone's got to be the winner of the losers bracket.
You'll wear
and
that
I will
paper
fall
crown.
on that sword, sir.
I was proud of that for you. Good job. But yeah, so then by the time that we got time to digest the new rules and stuff like that, we figured, hey, you know what? Let's go through and just pick out the ones that really stood out to us. I think that's a fun way to do this because deep dives are deep dives and all the information's out there, right? But yeah. I think it'd be a lot more valuable for us to kind of go through and we'll go like maybe some 35,000 foot views of just kind of what the army is, or what each kill team is rather, and then kind of laser focus on certain things that stood out to us. So that's what we got for you today.
We'll be cruising at 35,000 feet, but we're piloting a Predator drone, and occasionally we're going to have a really, really high-def camera pointing at one particular thing.
At one particular thing? Okay.
Yes.
I'm with you on that. I don't know what you're referencing, but I'm with you in it. So, Phobos Strike Team. This is our first Space Marine team. We've had an elite team before with Legionary, which is our first elite team. And they surprised the heck out of a lot of us, thinking, oh, I guess you can do a lot with 6 models, huh? And this is the first Loyalist Marine team. And my first instinct when I saw this was like, oh, I like this.
I think they look like they will play super fun.
Yeah.
They have shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I'm all about shenanigans. First and foremost, talk about TAC Ops. They can take almost everything. I really like infiltration. I really like seek and destroy on them, and recon has its play too, especially when you have 3 APL. So this is a cute set of archetypes for them to take, and it's 6 models. You could take Reavers, which is neat. You can take infiltrators, and you can take incursors, but their party trick for all of this is guerrilla warfare. They have a lot of different party tricks here, but guerrilla warfare is probably the coolest thing. They can flip their orders outside the first turning point as long as they're outside a pentagon. And those are the ones that you're going to probably want to flip more, right? It takes an AP to do it, not a CP. So they could flip their order, move to a position, shoot, and then flip back to conceal. So that lets you take some pot shots where you otherwise wouldn't be really safe, and I really like that.
Yeah, this is so good. It's so insanely good.
And playing a lot of Death Watch, there were a lot of times, especially for my back cappers, and especially maybe Turning Point 2 before I wanted to get out there, that I wasn't using all my APL depending on the mission. So this is just so nice for that.
Yeah. Every time I've played an APL 3 team, it just inevitably over the course of the game, there end up being a few times where someone's looking at their model going, what am I going to do with this third AP? Like, even super skilled players, there will be times where you just don't have something to do with it. And in that case, just make your guy safe.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Awesome. You don't get to Overwatch if you're concealed. Important to note. But oftentimes, that's putting you out there, especially with only 6 models. So options are great. This is a heck of an option. But this isn't their only thing. With infiltrators, depending on how many infiltrators you have, they all have this Omni-Scrambler ability. And basically, when it's your turn in the strategic ploy to play something, you can actually just activate this ability, target an enemy operative that's visible, and say, you have to wait X amount of activations on your team before you can go. Kind of like the Fog of Dreams that the Harlequin Shadowseer has, except it's a fixed number, depending on how many of these guys you have, how many infiltrators you have on the field, which I think is dope because you can plan for it. You can say, this guy, forget this guy. He has to wait. So if you lose initiative and there's a critical fight that you need to make sure you fight first, boom. That guy, he at least has to wait one if you have at least one infiltrator, if not more. And that can really turn the tide of a very pivotal moment.
Yep. It's another really, really good thing. Really fun thing.
The rest of them will
Shenanigans.
Go ahead.
Shenanigans around.
The rest of them will kind of blitz through. Multi-spectrum array is for the incursors. When they shoot, they break the obscured rule. You have to be more than 4 inches or 2 circle away to be obscured, which is really hard on some maps. So you could basically not have to worry about obscurity for key targets. Saboteurs, this is just an ability that the mine layer and the saboteur can have some extra flexibility with that allows you for your tac op. And Terror, this is like a Grizzly mark like the Shrive Talon has, but glued to a Reaver. So for 1 AP, they could basically do something very similar to the Grizzly mark. More on that later too. So, what do you think about the tac ops?
I don't think that any are like jaw-droppingly amazing, but they're solid. I think they're really good. Not really. I think they're good. So for guerrilla tactics, so you can do it at any turning point. If more enemy operatives were incapacitated than friendly operatives during that turning point, and more than half your operatives have a conceal order, you score 1 VP. You're playing an elite team. If you're going against a horde, you have the ability to put your guys back in conceal. This is solid. Like, there may be times where you want to stay engaged, so that's where it's not just automatically amazing, but this is still really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And like especially on a turning point 1 and turning point 2 scenario, you kill 1 and you guys are all alive, you satisfy this. And in turning point 2, you can stay safe by doing those flippy floppies back to conceal. You have all the tools for this. This one stood out to me as well.
I actually think this is best in turning points 2 and 4 because you have to have more than half. Yeah. So turning point 1, you're gonna, assuming you're not losing anyone, you're gonna have to have 4 models in conceal, which is hard-ish depending on what's happening.
Sure.
Assuming you're also killing things.
Sure.
By the end of turning point 2, you've probably lost an operative, so now you just need 3. That just becomes much easier.
I see. That's fair. I like that.
Yeah.
And then this is the other one you liked, or that stood out to you rather.
Why did I like this one? Let's read it. At the end of any turning point, if friendly operatives control 1 or more objectives that were controlled by enemy operatives at the starting of your turning point, you score 1 victory point. Oh yeah, you score points for flipping objectives. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's what you're going to
exactly
do, right?
What you want to do. Yeah,
yeah.
I think especially if you're going Reaver heavy with the tricks they pull on that, and also I think this is so especially for my style of play. I tend to play very conservatively out of the gate and murder things and then just jump on objectives. So like for someone who plays my style, I think that this would be really powerful, especially because I will intentionally not jump on something first turn to make sure I stay safe and then jump on it. This is great.
Yep. It rewards you for your playstyle. So yeah, this definitely is very much an Alex. Color me shocked. Yeah. So they also have some really neat tactics. Like I'm not going to put Bolter Discipline and whatever the fight twice one is on there. Shock Attack? No, that's an orc thing.
Shock Assault.
Shock Assault. There it is. I was close.
Yeah.
But Vanguard, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. Because I love my climbing ropes. And I am envious of your Rust Stalkers and their optimized gate. And for 1 CP...
This is better.
Yeah, for 1 CP, not only do you automatically pass jump tests, and you get an additional 1 inch to your movement, which also goes into your fallback, which also goes into your charge, because they're all calculated off the movement characteristic. But then you also get a slightly weaker climbing rope, but you also get the optimized gate. But the thing is, I've not encountered any terrain where this would measure differently than a climbing rope for all the stuff that we use for Kill Team, right? Because you're ignoring the first circle, So that means you're climbing for a circle, dropping for free on most of the stuff we play. That's what the climbing rope does for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would basically just be like if you're dropping off a Chalnath, like super high vantage point, right? Punishing vantage, whatever.
Those are 5 inches. Yeah. So I guess you would.
There's a niche case,
but a climbing rope would still make you drop for circle, because that would be 5 inches, halved, rounded down to the nearest circle. So dropping for circle. This one would be 5 inches, rounded down to 2 circle.
Oh yeah.
But you ignore the first one, so it would still be the same on that too. Yeah.
Weird.
It's better climbing ropes, and you don't have to spend EP for it to do other stuff. Ah!
No, wait. Let me explain to you just how insane this is. Okay, for 1 command point, you get optimized gate, which is 2 equipment points for me. You automatically pass jump tests, which is, I don't think it's a custom AdMech one, but that's one of the baseline narrative upgrades from Scout.
Yeah.
You get to add triangle to your movement characteristic, which is my aggressor imperative.
Yeah.
You get everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And you know what makes it even worse in the face of AdMech? They called it Vanguard, which is one of my units.
Someone at GW.
This is mine, and they took it from me.
Yeah. Yes. And there's no negative.
No, I'm mad.
No, he's mad. The other one I liked was Elite Reconnaissance. I love redeploys. I love them so much. There's no commando tactic, the shush, which is a quasi redeploy. It's a shuffle. This is amazing. I absolutely love this. For 1 CP again. And you might be thinking, oh, okay, well, CP, but you have a fixed amount. Kind of not. We haven't selected any of the leaders as part of the guys that we want to talk about, but the leaders, as long as they're outside of Pentagon, Octagon? Pentagon. Outside of red, 6 inches, they can spend an AP to gain a CP. So first turning point, maybe second turning point, you can safely pump that if you're on a back objective. So stuff like Vanguard and Elite Reconnaissance, they're not as expensive as you think about it now, since you can easily get at least another couple CP out of the exchange. At least, if you're not banking on it more. But yeah, so those are the ones that stood out most to me. Let's talk about some units you liked.
Yeah, we'll just move through these quickly. So this is a combo I noticed. Commsman is a weird comms guy, dictat guy. Instead of giving an extra AP, he points at someone and tells them to do an action. Which sounds roughly equivalent, but it's out of that other operative's activation, which is cool. It's different, but it gets silly with the next guy. So with a Saboteur, he's a mine layer, a bomb layer. We've seen this mechanic before. He walks up, he plants a bomb, he runs away, and then he does a shoot action to detonate his bomb. Now what this means is, because of the way these work, is that the comms guy can set off the Saboteur's bomb, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, he tells the other guy to then set off the bomb, but effectively it's this guy tapping in with his little remote to detonate the other guy's remote explosives. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can jump in and drop the bomb and get away and just worry about movement for the Saboteur.
Yeah.
Because with 3 APL you can do a lot.
And this is so clutch, because when you look at the plant explosives, this is different from what Vet Guard get, because they get a free dash to get out of dodge.
Right.
So that way, with an extra APL from their comms guy, you could detonate almost immediately. This one you can't detonate immediately, but you're also able to place it and then detonate it in the same turning point, is what you're getting at. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's a strong detonation. I mean, 2 ups, 5/6, AP1, and silent. So you can do it while concealed. Staying concealed, killing people.
Yep.
It's starting to fit in with the tac ops there. Yeah, there's really good synergy there. Absolutely. And this guy stays concealed it stays concealed and can do the comms array. So that's 2 out of your 6 already that are going to get a very good kill. With blast, so maybe multiple models, ensuring that you get the more than, not blast, but the within square, so kind of.
Super blast.
Yeah, kind of super blast. Yeah. So I mean, all the synergies just plugging together. Now, speaking of synergies, I found one as well that I like. In Cursor Marksman, this was teased on Warcom, so we had all seen this a long time ago. Track target, really neat. Guy set up at a vantage point in conceal, does not have to flip his token yet, but flips it when they decide to interrupt someone's activation with a shoot action. Okay, now they're then exposed with engage. Well, you could say, okay, well, they just do it towards the end of a turning point. You don't bait yourself out to get shot back. You do it once you're safe, right? But I really like Reavers for point control. I really like them for some interference with melee because they're tough in melee. But we'll talk about the war gear in a second. But this guy can easily get forward up the board and can easily plop a smoke down, which if you remember multi-spectrum array, they ignore the effects of smoke. So then you can easily just plop a smoke down on this guy, be completely safe or in front of him, cut off whatever you're worried about the retaliation shot's going to be, and then you're switching to engage without worrying about getting shot back. And hey, you don't care about the smoke. It's not hurting you at all. Synergies, spooky shenanigans. These guys are so
Do grenades last the entirety of the game, or is it just for a turn?
I'm sorry?
Do grenades last, or do smoke grenades last for the entirety of the game?
Point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you just need to make sure if you're doing this, you're not going to be like, oh, now they're going to shoot me. Uh-oh.
Yep.
But, yeah, there's that.
Cool.
I wonder, hang on. I'm thinking about this now. We're doing it live. Perform a free 1 AP action. Your comms guy could then make this guy turn himself back into conceal, right? I have to read that a little closer. I don't want to go too much into it, but that's really funny.
We do it live. We're doing it live.
We're going to do it live? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
It cannot perform an action it has already performed or an action in which it moves.
Yeah, it's totally legal.
100% yeah. Commsman can make him do guerrilla tactics. Not guerrilla tactics. Guerrilla warfare.
Warfare.
And flip back to conceal after he's shot. Oh, man.
Oh,
and then that synergizes with guerrilla tactics. Ah! Okay, let's finish up these guys because we're gushing too much. This is the most excited I've been over the Imperium of Man ever. So do you want to take grab shoot?
Yeah. You give it to a Reaver.
Yeah.
Turns out Reavers are fun again. And they what does it do? This is the one where you can get essentially a better scout move with them. And then again you get pseudo fly. Like when you're coming off of a vantage point, you have fly, which is you would effectively have anyway if you're doing that one tactic. Especially if you're dropping off something that's fairly short. But this lets you have that
Vanguard
doing the tactic. It's good.
Yeah, so this is outside of your normal scouting step selection. So you could dash with someone, and then this guy can get a 1 inch further dash, so 2 circle, with fly out of the DZ. Like, you can get real forward real quick, or you could do the flippy floppy, which is honestly just so much more valuable for a small team like this, but still get a forward position. And then this guy can get somewhere, so that way he can chuck a smoke grenade. And this is what I was referring to before with a grab shoot on a Reaver with a smoke grenade. You're not going to use all 3 of their APL in the first turn, ideally, right? So chuck that smoke grenade and get some saucy shots off. And that's smoke grenade. That was my selection. I alluded to it so much.
We discussed it.
We discussed it. Moving on.
Shot grenades. Shot grenades are awesome. It just plays into the whole aspect of the Reavers messing with people's APL. It's just you can shut down 2 APL teams hard. Absolutely.
Yeah. On one point with Tear, on another point, a non-Reaver throwing down a shot grenade. Not as reliable as Terror, but definitely not a bad choice. Not a bad choice.
I mean, one thing you can do with this, so we've both used the trick where you charge into someone that's already gone to make sure that you're safe for the remainder of the turn. You throw this into a bunch of people who have yet to go, someone's going to lose an activation point, and then you charge into someone that only has 1 APL for the turn.
And they can't fall back.
They can't do anything. They're done.
Yep. And if you do it at the end of a turning point, they're starting the next one -1 APL. Yeah. Yeah, I like the shock grenade as well. It's going to have to compete with crack grenades at the same price, but do you honestly need the extra firepower with a lot of the guns they have here?
I don't know that you do.
Yeah, I
really
mean,
don't
the
know that you
indirect
do.
is nice, but I mean, they got so many other tricks. You might not need that indirect.
They've got the speed that helps out with a lot of things that indirect also helps out with.
Absolutely. So that's it. We really like Phobos, as you guys can tell.
I really do.
There's
I'm so happy I already have Reavers with Ruststalker heads.
There you go. You're already there.
Yeah.
I have, I guess I'll show it right here. I already have my Reaver with the Grot head.
Nice.
It has begun, the revolution. So, let's talk about the Blooded. They're Trader Guard. They got 2 special units that are not just guardsmen. They got the Trader Commissar, which they call the Enforcer, as well as a Trader Ogren. They each of those take 2 selections. And then they have a bunch of different specialists. They got gunners with flamers, grenade launchers, melter guns, plasma guns, the typical stuff you see.
It honestly builds extremely similarly to Wormblade.
It does. In the end, it's very similar, especially with the agents as Enforcer and Ogre.
Yeah.
But they can only take Seek and Destroy. And their special thing is almost like Faith Points, but with more steps, is kind of how I see it, with also less benefits.
Yeah.
So it's like we have faith in the god, but he's also not as nice to us as the emperor. Is how I think about it.
And that is saying something.
Yeah, because the emperor is a bad dad. But basically, you have a pool of blooded tokens at each strategy phase you distribute to your operatives. You get 1 at each initiative phase along with your CP. Well, that's technically strategy phase, but you get 1 each initiative phase. You get 1 if you kill an enemy operative, just 1 per turning point. And you get another 1 if you die within 6 inches of an enemy operative. So max 3 blooded tokens per turning point. And in the strategy phase, you say you get a blooded, you do your Oprah Winfrey. Everybody gets a blooded except only 3 or 4 or 6, however many you have, right? And if you give 4 or more, one of the people that got a blooded token can be under the gaze of the gods. And what these blooded tokens do, they're not a currency, they're not faith points, they're static. And anytime an operative with a blooded token makes any type of attack, they can automatically retain one of their attacks as a successful normal hit without rolling. And if they're the one under the gaze of the gods, they get to retain a successful critical hit instead. So what's really cool about this is that it allows for some consistency, especially that crit hit to happen when you absolutely need it to happen. Like, this guy needs to get critically hit so I could take them out in 1 swing of melee. So if you're like locked in melee, you want to fight them, I just need 1 crit and they're dead. Even if they hit me first, I just need 1 crit, and you can you can guarantee it if you have at least 4 blooded at that point. So it's neat, and there's other stuff that kind of ties into blooded with the team, like people can kind of shift blooded tokens around and all that kind of stuff. But that's their gimmick. Not nearly as strong as faith points, but it's a cool thing to begin with. It leans into the consistency aspect of what faith points try to do.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's really fluffy for Trader Guard. I don't think it's the strongest mechanic that's come out, but it's fun, and I think it's cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's as strong as charging from conceal, honestly, that commandos get. Yeah, and that's such a simple rule that doesn't reward as much, but on paper it doesn't reward as much, but on the battlefield I think it does a lot more, but definitely not as good as faith points.
Yeah.
So let's go through the tac ops. You chose 2 of them that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So Worthy Champion, so you get rewarded for your guys who have the tokens if they kill 1 or more enemy operatives during the turning point, and they have to be within particular regions, either close to the center of the battlefield or your opponent's drop zone.
Mm-hmm.
This is a melee-focused team. You're going to be wanting to kill them up close anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be trying to do that with people who have the tokens on them, which are your best people.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is rewarding you for something you want to do. So, ta-da! Mm-hmm. Congratulations. This is really good.
Yeah,
and it's not a win war. It's just rewarding you for something you're going to be trying to do anyway.
Mm-hmm. And it's specifically the one that's under the gaze of the gods, so he's already going to be retaining a crit anyway. So,
yes, that's fair.
Yep. So making it a lot easier for them to incapacitate someone.
Yeah, and I don't think we have it in the deck, but there's something about the leader that he can be under the gaze of the gods. So even if you don't have like someone under it normally, you've got an option for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even in the first turning point.
Yeah.
Yep. And right. Bloodbath was the other one.
Yeah. This is ludicrously good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get rewarded. Okay, you get 1 point if more than half of the enemy team is incapacitated, and 2 points if more than 3/4 of the enemy team is incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few matches I've seen played between opponents of equal skill level where both sides don't end up decimated.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an automatic 1 point and a near automatic 2 points.
The only caveat to it is if you're going into Custodes, because it's more than 3/4.
Okay.
You need a table Custodes.
There are definite exceptions here.
Oh, of course. I'm just rattling your cage a little bit, but that's the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw more than 3/4. I was like, oh god, you have to table Custodes? Yeesh.
Yeah.
So there are a couple tactics that I like that stood out. Reckless Aspirants. I like this because you're going to be pushing up towards their DZ. In certain maps, the DZs are very close, and you could treat them as if they have a blooded. So anytime, as if they have a blooded token. So just increases your consistency if you've just pushed up in the first turning point. So second turning point, if you've made sure everyone is within, not wholly within, but within, you're going to have a ton of people just auto-retaining a hit. So it just increases that. And then Moment of Repute. I just like stuff that gives bonus APL. And Under the Gaze of the Gods to get another APL for 1 CP. I dig that.
Yep.
I dig that.
That's great.
You're putting it on someone who... You're deciding who gets Under the Gaze of the Gods right before you play this. So you know who's going to get that APL, and that can be anywhere on the battlefield. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you like the Flenser, huh?
Yeah. So he's squishy.
Mm-hmm.
He's fast.
Mm-hmm.
He's killy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your guy that gets you the ability to get 4 blooded tokens by the time that your second turn starts.
Mm-hmm.
So you send this guy out as a missile. Turn 1, he murders something. He gets murdered right back. And then beginning of turning point 2, you pick up your second blooded token from initiative phase. Ta-da! You've got someone under the gaze of the gods.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because when you selected this one, I was like, I think he's going to talk about sacrificing a strong model. And that's almost how you have to play this team, right? You need to I mean, blood for the blood god. Like, they want to die as much as they want to kill. It's just more blood and more skulls, right? And you almost have to look at them as just making sure you're getting enough trades to stay on par, and the trades are what are going to be making you better too, to make sure you get enough blooded tokens. So you're 100% right. 100% right with that. Mm-hmm. On the flip side of that, I like the Ogren. He's big. They have some stuff that allows you to get bonuses if you're got combat support and stuff like that. So you can charge him into someone who's already charged him past and get stuff like that to make him hit on 2s with a really big killy weapon, but also tons of wounds, avalanche of muscle. He can't be affected by APL. I also like that. There's a lot of stuff that shut down APL. Make sure that he's always at the 2 APL. I just like Big Chungus. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. He's pretty great.
Yeah. I can see scenarios where I wouldn't take the Commissar. It's hard for me to find scenarios where I wouldn't want the Ogre.
Mm-hmm. So this is an equipment piece that I picked for them.
Mm-hmm.
Sinister Trophy. While an enemy operative is within engagement range, you subtract 1 from the number of attacks in melee. That is so solid and so ludicrously good. This on a Ogren is gonna bully people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I thought about putting it too. Yeah. Exactly. And then
especially like I don't know that it so much helps you offensively, because you're probably going to kill things. Like if you're striking first, you're going to kill things.
Mm-hmm.
Where this helps is it really makes people reconsider the math coming into you to try to do damage.
Mm-hmm.
Because me looking at the Ogren, can you go back to him?
Yeah.
So, okay, so 5-6 wounds. So my Ruststalkers going into him are dead no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But like a Marine with 4 attack, like 4 solid attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're gonna be able to kill him,
mm-hmm.
like with what he's got left and survive. You go down to 3 attacks. That becomes a dicey proposition.
Aha! Pun intended. But also less dice, less hits, and more parries, and leftover attacks for the Ogren is how I see it too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I really like the Sinister Trophy for that reason. And for 3 EP, you want it on something that's going to stick around. So keep him concealed until he's ready to just like let the bull out into the China shop, you know?
Yep.
I like Chem Breather. There's a lot of stuff that affects APL we've seen today.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of 1 EP equipment items. If you have extra EP or you don't have a need for any of the other things, Chem Breathers on people that have defined roles for you that cannot suffer an AP. I mean, Pathfinders can just look at a guy funny and their APL goes down, right? Like, you can't protect against that. And we talked about the shock grenades and stuff like that, so being able to maintain your APL, I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and that's it.
Hooray!
Blooded is finicky. Blooded is going to have a very high skill floor because of how frail they are and how they have to die in order to do stuff.
Absolutely. I have no idea where their skill ceiling is going to end up. I could see them being absolutely amazing. I could see them being fine.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll be bad by any means. I just am not 100% sure that they'll be shaking everything up.
Yeah, it just depends on like how the blooded tokens actually work, like in practicality, how much they are able to kind of skew your results enough, how much favor of the gods work, their tactics, all that kind of stuff. Because you look at things like you compare them, you can't help but not compare them to Vet Guard and stuff like that. And just looking at sniper to sniper, the sniper is worse. It in Mortal Wound 1, and I think it hits on 3s, but it has more mobility, and you have access to the blooded tokens. And you make them favored by the dark gods, and then yada 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 yada. So like it's there's a lot of moving parts. Chris likes to call teams like this a fighter jet. I think this is a fighter jet on fire. But I mean, as an orc fan, that's a huge tactic to send your Blitzabomber crashing into your enemy to win. So Burn-a-Bomber, not Blitzabomber, but you get the idea.
Same thing.
I could see them having a high ceiling, but I think they definitely have a high floor as well. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No. I think both teams will be a lot of fun to play against. I'm excited for the first time that they get thrown down on the table against me.
Yeah, I am too. This is a fun box. I dig it. All right. That's it. Bye, Internet.
Bye, Internet.